Welcome to another episode of Core NFL Recaps. My name's Legacy.
And I'm Max.
I'm Bobby.
Vitamin J.
All right, and we're here to recap Week 14. 1-4, baby. We are going to be starting off with our Thursday night game as the great Baker Mayfield put the Rams on his back and carried them past the Raiders. Oh, man. Baker Mayfield, good Lord, what he did. 22 for 35, 230 yards, and 1 touchdown. I mean, guys, can we speak more highly of his performance?
Never been done before.
You're underselling it. This was the greatest comeback story in professional football history, Philip.
No,
He beat the mighty Raiders. 2
days. Man.
No, but seriously, this was an impressive performance with just only 2 days with the team. But people are overhyping this performance just a teeny tiny bit, and by a teeny tiny bit, I mean they're overrating it a lot.
Yeah, literally, Raiders have given up several leads throughout the season.
I mean, they lost to Jeff Saturday in his first game.
Yeah.
Let's calm this down a little
Yeah.
bit. Yes, what he did in 2 days was good. But
People are like, Baker's back. Back to what? He was never that good. So what is he back to?
I've seen people saying he's gonna be the Rams franchise quarterback of the future.
Go. Look, every team in the NFC West hopes that's true.
true. The only people upset on Thursday were Detroit because that just that win knocks them up because they have the Rams pick. But otherwise, it's like, come on, man, calm it down. All right.
So I mean, this is good. This does make the Rams more exciting the rest of the season because it's a little bit more entertaining because no one wants to see John Wolford play. But other than that, actually, I guess I should be happy because if the Rams keep winning, Saints lose. That's the team that's competing with the Saints pick. So that way, if they do better than the Saints, then of course that benefits the Eagles. So I guess I'm rooting up for Baker the rest of the year.
Nope, I get that.
So sorry for you. Sorry for you.
But like usual, Devontae Adams still doing work, man.
He did work, and Derek Carr stunk. He was terrible.
2 interceptions.
His pass rating was 36.9.
It's disgusting.
And Baker raised his QBR for the season. I think he's in the 20s now.
Wow. But this was a pretty good game between 2 non-playoff teams. But again, the story that came out of this game with the whole Baker mania, a bit much.
Yeah, very much. Max's QBR is now 23.2.
Wow. And I do want to say, it's like people are like, well, it just was that he just on the Panthers. How many excuses? People are so quick to give Baker excuses that they're not willing to give to other people. Why are we giving excuses to Baker, who's never really been that good, but we don't give it to other people who have been better in their careers?
Because, Max, he carried the Browns to a playoff, not just a playoff, but a playoff victory, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus one of the greatest Steelers teams ever assembled.
Yeah. With the prime Ben Roethlisberger, too.
So it's apparently the story I'm being told.
And the steel curtain defense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just funny. People are like, it must have been a Panthers' fault. No, Baker has stunk on his own, and he did it for the Browns like 3 of his 5 years there, or however many. 2 of his 4, however long he was there. So
look, in 2 games, Sam Darnold won more games than Baker Mayfield did as a starting quarterback for the Panthers.
Well, let's go ahead and segue there since you want to talk about Sam Darnold, or probably Philip wants to talk about Sam Darnold. Let's go ahead.
So to start off our kitten corner, actually it's gonna be cat corner because they're now 5-8. You know, my boy Sam Darnold doing work, beating the Seahawks this week, 30-24. I mean, his stat line not the most impressive, but you know what? Getting the dub like he does. All right, they're now 5-8. Once again, Panthers are right there in it, and that NFC South fight. And still in the playoff picture.
5-8, right in the thick of things.
Right in the thick of things.
Now they're like all the way at pick 11. There's no point. Like they're gonna get Anthony Robinson or whatever.
Anthony Richardson, yeah.
Richardson as their quarterback.
I mean, I'll take him over Will Levis. You know, just can't trust him. I puts Mayo in his coffin. I can't. Because they play the Steelers next, so you know I feel confident the Panthers probably win that.
Panthers schedule. I think they could win every single one of these games. Pittsburgh, they could lose to Detroit, but they could also beat them. Tampa Bay and New Orleans, they've already beaten them, so they could honestly win out, which would be annoying.
And they make playoffs, baby.
2 more games, they got a good shot at playoffs.
Speaking of playoffs, I'll tell you who is in trouble for playoffs. Seattle. They've lost 3 of the last 4, and 3 of those losses come against teams they should have beaten: Buccaneers, Raiders, Panthers. So they're falling off at the wrong time. And their upcoming schedule: 49ers this Thursday, Chiefs Sunday after, then Jets. That's 3 tough games in a row. They could be seeing themselves going from wild card team to flat out the playoff race.
Yeah. Geno Smith threw for 3 touchdowns, but had 2 interceptions versus that mighty Panthers defense.
I mean, he almost had a third one.
The Panthers defense has been phenomenal. I think they said since the past 5 weeks or so. No, 4 weeks, because they got whooped by the Bengals. The past 4 weeks, they've been, I think, the top 3rd in the league in defense.
This is the most points they gave up since the Bengals game.
But most of that was, I think Geno scored a garbage time touchdown. They were up.
Yeah, he scored like 16 seconds left.
The score was not as close as the game actually was.
Yeah, since the Bengals, they've lost 15, 3, 10, and 24.
And I'd like to also point out they won a game where they allowed like 17, because with Matt Royal, you scored 17. You were pretty much guaranteed losing that game.
Yep.
17 points pretty much did it. Not bad. Another win for him. I mean, he pulls off a couple more, might be needing some apology tour, but it's still there,
What you need is him to post some good numbers, because the first 2 games has been kind of mediocre numbers. What you need is for him to pop off, and then he can really, and a victory too. Then you can really pop off. The Panthers need to stop messing around. Go ahead and hire Steve Wilkes full time.
Yeah,
isn't it get him a good offensive coordinator?
Mm-hmm. Don't stop now. It's what he does, baby. He does.
I mean, he's clearly tapped into something.
Give Foreman another year.
Yep.
Yeah, team is like, oh, this is what a coach who actually knows what they're doing can do. Okay. It's going to be fun. It's going to be pretty interesting down the stretch with the Panthers, hopefully pull off another one. And, even if they went out, I mean, still that's 9 wins. They might get in not just division, but it's also wild card and stuff like that. So, yeah, makes for an interesting ending. Let's go ahead to our next game. The other team they're competing with the division on, it was the Bucs getting trashed by the 49ers. My boy Brady had 2 interceptions. 253 yards.
Terrible.
And then Purdy stepping in. I mean, granted, this is his first full start, had 2 TDs. Christian McCaffrey, 119 yards, 1 TD. Deebo Samuel did get hurt, but still had a touchdown, 21 yards on the ground, as well as 43 yards in the air. This 49ers team just kept it going.
Kyle Shanahan, and I keep saying he's one of the best coaches in the league. I mean, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, he came in and they didn't lose a beat. For this game, so far they have not missed Jimmy Garoppolo one bit. Now it's just one game. We'll see what happens from here. But for this game, I mean, they just absolutely dominated. Brock Purdy was super efficient. Only threw the ball 21 times, but 2 touchdowns, averaged 8.8 yards per pass. I mean, there's not one thing they did wrong besides letting the Buccaneers score that one piddly touchdown. Other than that, they are still, I would say, the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC. I still think the Cowboys are 3rd and Vikings 4th would be how I rank the top 4 teams, even with the Garoppolo injury.
Yeah. It's like last year. They're just hitting it stride at the right moment. They're getting hot when you need to. Guys, can I ask, are we giving Kyle Shanahan enough respect? Like, this guy's he's doing some good stuff, and he's never had a great quarterback. Like, he hasn't had a Brady or Rodgers.
Don't give him a lead in the Super Bowl. Just don't give him that. No, he's a good coach.
True. If you have a lead, run the ball, man. Just run it.
He's the best schemer for play calls in the league, even better than Sean McVay. Because he can just plug and play. He even made Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard look like not starters, but like competent quarterbacks, and they're both not.
So they're both still in the league because of what they put on film.
Sure, you wonder, like, once he got some talent, like, what is he gonna do when He got some talent. I mean, Trey Lance. There's been rumors and speculation with Trey Lance. There's also obviously the rumors Brady might go there next year. Brady's a free agent.
Nah.
Would he want to go there?
See, my thing with Brady is that after this year, he's not going to have the laundry list of teams that go after him like it was a few years ago. Because this year just hasn't been that good. Now he still is Tom Brady, so he will have suitors. But I just don't think people are going to be like,
yeah, if on the 49ers,
moving Earth in the sky to get him.
On the 49ers, he won't be on my list.
If on the 49ers, I mean, you can just pick the quarterback, really.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends how well they do, because it might be one of those like, we're right there, but maybe if we could get a quarterback that's a little bit more clutch, that's a little bit, just a tad bit better, that might be the difference of us having that Super Bowl of like who can make that throw. So
right.
That's kind of one of those things of like maybe they might look at it as a leadership thing. He's from the area. He's Brady with his leadership. They initially wanted to go I think this year or whatever, but it's gonna be interesting.
It will be. I would say Tom Brady's not going to be in Tampa next year.
No, and I mean he hasn't played well. I will also say his line, like Brady needs a line.
I mean, it's not just him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing with Tom Brady is that it took a while now, but I think Father Time's catching up because physically he does look slower and like less.
As his deep ball's just not there.
Yep. It finally hit 45.
Took a while. I mean, he's still. I mean, 45 is still really good, but yeah, I think it's catching up to him. I mean, just think about it. 45. We walk around. We're in our 30s, and we're like, "Oh, this hurts. This hurts." I can imagine being 45 and playing NFL.
Oh my gosh, trying to take one of those hits. Oh man. I mean, Bucks. We'll see. They still have a shot at playoffs. I mean, still probably favorites to win that division. It's, again, really between them and the Panthers.
Yeah, they're lucky they play in that division.
Unfortunately, they play Bengals next week, so that's not a game you really want. That's not a game you want right now with the way the Bengals been playing, so they might probably be chalking up a loss. So that them and that Panthers second meeting is really going to be huge.
For the crown, 7-10 record.
Yep. Yep. So, we'll keep seeing how it goes. All right. We are going to go into our next game. It was the Buffalo Bills beating the New York Jets. Kind of nice, little more defensive a little bit more of a defensive battle. Josh Allen had 2 TDs, one in the air, one on the ground. They keep their number 1 seed, so the road still goes through Buffalo. What did we think, gentlemen?
Poor Mike White and his ribs. My God.
Mike White took an absolute beautiful spear. Goldberg and Roman Reigns would be proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a huge victory for the Bills. Like you said, it kept the road to the Super Bowl to the Buffalo, which is huge. And they also avenged their loss to the Jets just about 4 or 5 weeks ago. So it's a big division win. That Bills-Bengals game is going to be absolutely huge. That's in 3 weeks. That's a Sunday night or Monday night game. They have it at 8:30. So that is going to be must-see, and that could potentially be for the number 1 seed.
That is going to be a very interesting game.
And then for the Jets, do we see Joe Flacco or do we see Zach Wilson? If they don't put Zach
I think
Wilson
they said
back
Mike
in.
White's playing. I think they said Mike White.
He's actually as healthy?
I think so. And even if he's not, I think it's going to be Joe Flacco. Because this is a major game for them this week. They play the Red Hot Lions. So if they beat the Lions, I think they're going to be almost guaranteed a playoff spot. They probably still got some more work to do, but they got the Lions, Jaguars, Seahawks, Dolphins. So not the worst.
If you're a Jets fan, do you regret getting rid of Sam Darnold for Zach Wilson?
No, what I regret is just drafting Zach Wilson.
And not Justin Fields.
That's the real mistake right there.
They were right to move on from Sam Darnold just because he only really had 1 good year out of 4 with them. So it was time to move on just for both the parties. Their mistake again was just taking Zach Wilson ahead of obviously better prospects.
Justin Fields, heck, Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is better than him.
I remember when he got drafted, we all said that was too high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, we are. Yeah. He had 1 good year, and that wasn't even play anybody.
Exactly. I remember we all said it should have been Lawrence and Justin Fields 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
that was one of those. I wasn't even scared of that coming back to bite me. I was like, no, I knew that Zach Wilson was not going to come back to bite me. I was really wrong on him. It's like, no, I feel very confident in what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't regret my decisions.
Mm-hmm. And I love how some people are like, well, you got to give him a couple years because Josh Allen took to his third year. Not everyone. That's not the rule, people. Usually, if they stay, at least Josh Allen has some spurts in his first 2 years. Zach Wilson has had nothing. Okay, so I think it's easily time to move on. I don't care if he's third overall pick. I don't care.
Second overall pick.
After 2 years, I get rid of him. He's a bum.
He's a Johnny Manziel with a little bit better arm. What is Zach Wilson good at? He's undersized. He's not crazy athletic. His athleticism's all right. It's not great. His arm's okay. It's not great.
He's got good arm strength, but he just doesn't know where the hell is going.
His arm talent's there, but he just doesn't know what to do with it.
Buffalo keep it rolling. Let's see what happens if all roads will lead through Buffalo, which that would be interesting. We're going to go into our next game. It was a big divisional game. It was a first in a while. It was Bengals over the Cleveland Browns. Big win for the Bengals. Also the first time in several tries they beat the Browns. For some reason, the Browns had the Bengals number. I think it might have been Burrow's first time beating the Browns. It was Burrow's first time beating the Browns. They needed this win to keep in that division race and also keep in trying to get that number 1 seed.
Yeah, this was actually a pretty good win for them because during the game, T. Higgins started, but he pulled his hammy again. And then Tyler Boyd was lost early on in the game with a broken finger, I think. So he was really down to Jamar Chase, and that's really it because Hayden Hurst didn't even play. So his receiving options were limited in this game, and it took them a while. It took them a while to get going, but they eventually did and dominated this game from the second quarter on.
Oh yeah, and Jamar Chase, just with a measly another 100-yard game, another 100-yard and touchdown game.
Is Joe Burrow good? I mean, I've heard about him before.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he was worth the number 1 pick.
Just maybe.
It must be fun to be a Bengals fan right now with him. You're good for 15 years.
Must be nice.
It's good. That fan base suffered a lot. Good they got something now, Who day? On the other side of the ball, Deshaun Watson threw an interception, had a touchdown, 276 yards. I mean, I think for him it's looked rough, but again, he hasn't played for
it's all about just getting game reps now for him.
Yeah. Luckily, they weren't really in the playoff fight, so it wasn't like a big deal if they didn't. Like, it would be a bigger deal if he came back and it was like, well, they need to make the playoff push. Now you're not, so kind of just get through the rhythm. Nick Chubb had a kind of quieter day, but they kind of went down pretty early, so couldn't really run him as much as you probably wanted to. 34 yards, 14 carries. He was held to 2.4 yards.
When he's not going, the Browns struggle. So he's even with Deshaun Watson. If Nick Chubb doesn't have a good game, the Browns generally going to lose.
Yep, pretty much all I've got to say about that game. Another one was a close one, which I think several of us were hoping an upset was going to happen in the making, but could not pull it off. It was the Texans losing to the Cowboys 23-27. Dak Prescott had 2 interceptions, 284 yards, 1 TD. It wasn't pretty for the Cowboys. It wasn't a pretty day.
It's crazy. I don't watch ESPN or any of that, but I saw someone on Twitter talking about it. ESPN had a thing after this Cowboys game when they beat the Texans with the last go-ahead 98-yard drive. They had a thing said, is Dak Prescott in this elite category of quarterback with Mahomes, Burrow? I'm like, how could you possibly be talking about Dak Prescott in that category when he stunk for 99% of this game against the worst team in the league? How could you possibly put elite and Dak in the same sentence under this game? That's just cowboy bias in the media right there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. One, there's only at a given time, max 6 quarterbacks that might be elite. Max. And
that's too much. That's too
very generous. Being very generous.
Yeah. But no, I was very upset because the Texans could have won this game. They near the end of the game in the fourth quarter, they had 1st and goal and eventually got the 4th and goal, and they were on the 3-yard line. They didn't get it, and then of course the Cowboys drove the rest of the way down for touchdowns. The Texans could have won this game, and it wouldn't have hurt them in the chase for the first round pick because they got a huge advantage for that. So I was really upset that the Texans couldn't pull it through because the Cowboys hype got a little bit much as they destroyed the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys should be ashamed that they didn't destroy this team. You played Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll with this defense. You're supposed to dominate them.
I was dumbfounded by this game and what was.
I thought they were gonna have another performance like they did against the Colts, 54 points. I mean, they played the Jaguars this week. Like I said, in 2 weeks the Cowboys play the Eagles. This will not decide on one seed because the Eagles still hold a 2-game advantage. Huge. If the Eagles win that game, I mean, it's done deal. They can probably rest to week 18 and not have to worry about anything. But
yeah, go ahead, rest week 18. Don't even worry about it. Am I right, Jacob? You can rest week 18. Yeah. This is good. You got the division.
Don't worry about it.
I would not be saying this for any biased reason. It's because I'm concerned for the Eagles.
I just want them to be healthy. Yeah,
that's all.
We're going to the next game. It's a divisional clash with a big upset, which was great for this team, keeping them in the playoff picture. Also, like Max said, just helps out your boys even more. It was the Vikings losing to Detroit. One puts Detroit back in the playoff picture. Also, and it's a long shot, technically the division, that would have finished the division off. That would have officially, had the Vikings won, they would have won the division. But the division's still up for grabs. Granted, it's a long shot.
Right. Lions could go 4-0, get 10-7, but for the rest of the year. But
Vikings would have to lose every
The funny thing is that this game actually was not an upset. The Lions, surprisingly, I looked before the game started, were the betting favorite to win this game. So everyone saw what we saw is that the Lions are coming up and the Vikings are kind of slipping a little bit. This is a huge rebound year for Goff. He's looking a lot better than he did last year. And this Detroit Lions team knows how to score some points. 6 games scoring over 30 points. That's a lot, especially for the Lions. When's the last time they had a prolific offense that scored that many points?
They got all these weapons, just doing work, keeping the chains moving.
They could sneak into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, no, they're right there.
After this Jets game, that's the toughest one I got remaining is Jets, Panthers, Bears, Packers. They could go 4-0. But of course, it will be the most Detroit thing for them to go 3 wins, need that last one to win, and then lose to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, the fans' hopes up for nothing, all just for that to happen. Yeah, Kirk Cousins had 425 yards, 2 TDs. Justin Jefferson, I mean,
run out of words to say.
The dude's a dang cheat code, all right? 223 yards, 11 receptions
already.
He has never had less than 1,400 yards in 3 years. I mean, that's insane. His stat sheet is insane.
He's putting up numbers like Randy Moss did right out the gate. It's I think they were comparing him to I think Randy Moss is the only one who jumped out the gate like this and put up these stats. It's not even fun, man.
What's crazy is that he's on pace even with the extra game. He's still not on pace to break the record. He's on pace to be behind it by 2 yards. So this just reminded how insane that Calvin Johnson had that in 16 games. Justin Jefferson still has a good chance to beat it, especially if he has another game like this week. I mean, he'll be essentially almost guaranteed to beat it. And it wouldn't surprise me if he has another 200-yard game because he just is uncoverable. He's the best receiver in the league right now.
Dang cheat code.
And he could have been on the Eagles. And I know they got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. I'm happy about it, but Justin Jefferson is better.
It's really good from what I heard. But yeah, Dan Campbell, once again, putting in some good work, after it was looking not too good for him for a while, but now his Detroit Lions, coming in here, believing, doing what they need to do, giving the city a little hope.
And back in the playoff race. These last 4 games matter a ton. Oh boy, this next one should be fun. I think Jacob's going to have a little bit to talk about.
We are going to go into our next game. It is involving, as he said, Vitamin J over there. It's involving his second team losing this week to the Jacksonville Jaguars in a 36-22. Trevor Lawrence putting in work, man. 368 yards, 3 TDs. In the last, I forgot how many games. He's had 10 TDs, 0 interceptions. I think it's the last 4 games. Trevor Lawrence really splitting himself. this is why everybody kept saying he's going to be the guy. This is why he was the number one prospect. Woo! It's been quite a couple performance and really putting himself as the best in his class.
The Jacksonville could be. I would predict them to be the favorite in the AFC South next year, just because Texans. We'll see what they do with quarterback. They're definitely going to get a new one. Colts, they're a mess.
Too incompetently run.
And the Titans were getting near the end of Derrick Henry's window, and
Yep.
Ryan Tannehill, the swan song is over. Wouldn't you say, Jacob?
Tannehill's got to go. He doesn't get he's not like a turnover machine. He'll do a lot of games where he's has a few games with no picks, but he has turnovers at the worst time and kills the team. They do this every year. They lose games they shouldn't lose. Last year it was to the Texans. Now it's to the Jaguars. And this is that was in Tennessee too, so it's even more embarrassing. They gotta move on from Tannehill. They should never have signed him, extended him anyway.
What's crazy is that was the third. This is the third straight loss for the Titans. The Jaguars have a chance. It's a small chance, mind you, but they do have a chance to potentially win the AFC South. The Titans' remaining schedule is Chargers. They could easily lose that game. They could also win that game because Chargers are inconsistent, just like the Titans are. Then the Texans. They should win that game. So let's just pencil them in for 8 wins. And then they got the Cowboys and Jaguars who just beat them. So potentially, if the Jaguars close out well, and let me just look at who they play. They have the Cowboys this week. I'm going to assume they lose. But Jets, Texans, Titans, after that, they could beat those teams. And that would put them at 8 and 9. And if the Titans only win 1 game from here on, that would put them at 8 and 9. In this scenario that we're talking about here, the Jaguars would then win the division because they beat the Titans twice. So it's a chance, but a small one.
Oh, yeah. I will say, bright spot, Derrick Henry still 17 carries, 121 yards, 7.1 yard average per carry. He trying, but, when you get down big, the first quarter they were good, and then after that, the Jaguars just kind of ran away with it.
He did fumble twice, so he did hurt the team as well, but still, he was really what kept them in it whatsoever. At any point in the game, he was dominating, especially that first quarter.
Yep.
And it's just Derrick Henry against the AFC South just penciled him in for at least 100 yards. And that's undershooting it most of the time.
Yeah, they got probably 1 to 2 more seasons of top 2 Derrick Henry, probably, and so they got some.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's 28, so probably about 1 to 2 more seasons than that would be. Yeah, but I know they drafted Malik Willis, so they either got to really develop him and or they got to get somebody, because I think the Ryan Tannehill time's over. You've really maxed out what you can do with him. I think I would go into next year riding with Malik Willis. You may not win a division and he may stink, but you at least got to try something different, because you're maxed out here. You're not winning a Super Bowl. All you're doing is winning a terrible division and getting bounced in the first round.
We're going to go to our next game. It's Max's Eagles trouncing the Giants.
The Eagles, especially lately, are just toying with teams right now. Scoring at will. They had the number 1 offense currently in points per game. Jalen Hurts, again, was hyper efficient. Doesn't post the gaudy passing yardage numbers, but his yard per throw is great. His completion percentage is great. Touchdown to interception ratio. In fact, touchdown to turnover ratio at this point in the season is 32-5. I mean, that's insane when you think about it. He is on pace for the greatest season from a quarterback in Eagles history. And the Eagles have a lot of good seasons from multiple different quarterbacks in their history. So that tells you how good of a year he's having. And he has to be, especially after Mahomes had a so-so performance this week for him. Jalen Hurts has to be the favorite for MVP, and I think he is for betting wise. He is the favorite currently, and really, I think if they beat the Cowboys and he has a good performance, I think he's going to have the MVP locked up.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him. Miles Sanders also had 144 yards on the ground.
Yeah. I'm really happy for him. He had his first 1,000-yard season. He's got 11 rushing touchdowns. And A.J. Brown, this is the first year the Eagles have had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2014. Zach Ertz had 1,000 yards, but he was a tight end. So it's the first 1,000-yard receiver they've had since 2014. That was Jeremy Maclin. First 1,000-yard rusher they've had since 2014, and that was LaShawn McCoy. So they finally hit the milestone with these positions. And, man, this team is just I don't have to stress on Sundays much this year, so that's good. I'm having a pretty good year. And I would say currently now, we'll see with hopefully don't get any injuries, but currently with this team, I would be super disappointed if they don't make it to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I'd be super disappointed if they don't even get there.
Sure. Oh yeah, no, that would be a very disappointing season. Hopefully they can keep it rolling.
Yeah. And for the Giants, this loss hurts. Now, I think most people expected them to lose. I don't really think anybody thought they had much of a chance to keep up. But the Giants have now, in the last 6 weeks, they're 1-4-1.
Yeah. Luckily, again, that's why they got off. It's a good thing they got off to a hot start, and they, for the most part, won the games they should have. I looked at the Giants, and they did a lot of winning early. That was good because down the stretch, they knew their schedule was going to get a lot harder. Luckily for them, I mean, the Commanders this week's going to be big.
Yeah, that's huge. The winner of this game between Giants and Commanders is almost essentially guaranteed a playoff spot.
Yeah, so that's going to be big. They play the Vikings, which we'll see where the Vikings are at. It's going to be a hard game to win, but luckily the Vikings start off a little slower. If you don't punch, you have to punch them out the gate. If they can get you to start slow and they can at least keep Saquon running the ball, get it a fourth quarter close, then that's where they're good. And they also have the Colts, which that's probably going to be, if they could beat the Commanders and the Colts, that pretty much, that's their two. Again, they get to 9 wins, that guarantees them playoffs. Right. So if they can beat the Colts and Commanders, that's it.
See what your man does. Is he going to rise to the occasion?
What if they tie again?
Dude, if they tie again, that'd be so sick.
It's like, oh man.
I would actually love it from a chaos perspective. Yeah. Just how you would do the math of who would get in over the other.
Yeah.
You just need the Lions to start winning because they come in red hot.
Oh yeah. Need that to calm down a little bit. We're gonna go into our next game. It was a rivalry, a huge rivalry dating back years at this point. Though these two teams are definitely mere like shells of them what they used to be and how exciting this game used to be. It was Baltimore over Pittsburgh. 16-14. Tyler Huntley still coming in, winning. And, I mean, J.K. Dobbins, heck of a game, 120 yards, 1 TD. But the big part of all the story, it means the Ravens still are in the lead of the AFC North.
Yeah, but another thing about it is that Lamar Jackson's injury. And another thing I was thinking about with Lamar Jackson's injury, this was his year to bet on himself and do all that. Let's just say he ends the year like last year, you know how he got hurt and didn't come back. What if he doesn't come back this year?
Yep.
What's going to happen with the contract negotiation? I mean, if I was Baltimore, I would still sign him because I just think he's a winner. So you can definitely win with him. Super Bowl, who knows? But it hasn't gone the way Lamar thought it was, especially after his first half of the season. He was fantastic, and it's just kind of dropped down since then. So I'm very interested to see what happens this offseason with him and his contract because he wants that guaranteed money. And the Ravens do have some legitimate concern there, especially because how the last 2 seasons have gone for him. He's been hurt and ineffective for portions of them. They do have a legitimate reason to not give him that contract he wants.
No, that's true. And that's part of the reason they didn't already. Conover, are we sure you're going to stay healthy? You know, the best ability is availability, and you can't play every year.
And both years, let's just say he doesn't come back again, they fall out of playoff contention. That'd be the past 2 seasons. They were right in prime position for a playoff spot, and they did not make playoffs. So that would be huge. And now that also shows his importance to the team, but it also shows that they haven't been able to count on him when they need him.
Yep, especially, because, NFL teams would do anything to get out of
right. Yeah.
Pay somebody. Especially, again, fully guaranteed contracts, what he wanted. And it's like, ooh, they're all looking like, ooh, that's a lot because we sure you're going to last all 5 of those years?
Now, some people think it's blasphemous to critique Lamar Jackson's passing just because he's so good at everything else. But if he's not able to run, his passing is not enough to carry a team. His passing he's not the worst thrower I've ever seen. I think he's a better thrower than Michael Vick because I think Michael Vick's just vastly overrated. But he's still not good enough as a passer if that's his only if that's the only thing he's bringing to the table is his passing. He's not going to make it in this league. So, I think that's the main thing from this game is just Lamar Jackson specter of it because the game itself, we got backup quarterback versus a backup quarterback because Kenny Pickett had another concussion. Mr. Trubisky came in, was the same Mr. Trubisky. He's always been terrible. So
Yeah.
big win for the Ravens. For Pittsburgh, I mean, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. I mean,
Yeah.
who cares?
Oh yeah. No, that's true. But we're gonna go into the other game. This was supposed to be the Sunday night game, and funnily enough, had it been the Sunday night game, it actually might have been a little interesting of a Sunday night game. Then it was Kansas City Chiefs beating the Denver Broncos. Let's ride.
Well, since you said that, this was by far Russell Wilson's best game of the year. Best performance by the Denver Broncos offense. They probably would have had a shot to win it, but Russell Wilson did get a concussion near the end, so then the Brett Rypien had to play, so that kind of stalled any comeback hope for them. But this was a much better game than anyone thought, partly because Mahomes had a little bit of trouble protecting the ball this game. He had 3 picks. Which I think this game put him. He was the favorite for MVP going into this game, and this performance, probably he's behind Hurts at the moment. After this, still Chiefs won. They're right in position to potentially be the number 1 seed if the Bills lose to the Bengals, because the Chiefs' remaining schedule is really not that difficult. Texans, Seahawks, Broncos, Raiders, not that difficult.
Broncos, Raiders, yeah, it should be 4.
I think so.
So maybe you're a Broncos fan. You may think that maybe Russell Wilson can turn it around just with a new head coach.
This does get you hope. Well, unfortunately, this may give them some reason to keep Hackett because they finally had a good performance. Is the tide turning? That's what John Elway will ask.
I am firing him. I'm firing.
Buddy, the tide, this offense needs to put up 28 points from here on out, and I would still be questioning.
Yeah,
I'll still fire him. I'm still firing.
Still not good. And you lose another game, so you're almost securing. They're very close to securing a top 3 pick. Seattle.
Hopefully, Russell gets better. I mean, he's going to be out this week.
I think so. I knew. I watched it live, and I knew as soon as he hit the ground, I was like, "This man's done."
Yeah, like you said, Patrick Mahomes losing his lead that he had last week in the MVP conversation to make it more interesting. This team still did pretty well, still.
I mean, it's still the Chiefs. They're still going to be a potential Super Bowl contender / winner. I mean, the status quo for them is the same. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, and Denver's probably pissed off of where the hell has this performance been all season long?
Yeah, for real. If they perform like this, if Denver if they scored they scored 28, but let's just say they scored 24. They'd be in the thick of the playoff race. They probably would have about 8-9 wins.
All right, so we're gonna go into the other team. What was the Sunday night game? It was the Dolphins losing to the Chargers.
It's a huge victory for the Chargers. Huge. This put them right back in the playoff hunt. If they lost this game, they would have been outside looking in and not looking real likely. But this was huge. Justin Herbert was catching some slander in the media lately. Some people call him a social media quarterback. He just posts highlights, doesn't win games. I didn't think that was fair because most of the year he didn't have Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, and he's finally got them back and looking like he does when he has his weapons around him. He looks like a fantastic young quarterback, and they beat a team, Miami Dolphins, who is a pretty good team, and we were talking about a couple weeks ago potentially being a Super Bowl contender. So this might be the biggest win so far in Justin Herbert's career.
Yeah. I'm saying people get at me, but Herbert is a far superior quarterback to Tua.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, 100%.
You give Herbert, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle.
We see what he do with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Now, those are 2 good receivers. They're fantastic, but they're not Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And we see what he can do with them. So if he had Tyreek Hill and Jalen, I mean, come on.
Especially with that arm he's got, ew. He's
be fair
that down the field.
And Tyreek Hill said Tua was the most accurate quarterback. Not this game. 10 for 28 passing, and it wasn't like they were drop balls. He was just missing throws.
Yeah. I will say credit to that defense of the Chargers. I think this needs to be another story of they were missing how many 6 starters? They were missing.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
But they were getting to Tua a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting there. They were breaking through that. Miami's got a good offensive line. They were getting there each time. Tua was quite a bit under pressure. Very big game. It makes it a little bit more interesting when now the Dolphins are now 8-5, as well makes the playoff race a little bit more interesting, keeping the Chargers still in the name. Dolphins kind of glide back a little bit, especially when it comes to our next game. It was my New England Patriots beating the Arizona Cardinals, which, I mean, come on, we kind of knew game was over, especially once Kyler Murray went down.
Yeah, that's the biggest news. Kyler Murray tore his ACL early on in the game. And this really, for the Cardinals, has huge ramifications for their franchise. One, Kyler Murray tore his ACL. Who knows if he hurt anything else in the knee? We don't know. But it's going to impact his offseason. And will he be ready for the beginning of next year? And is he going to be the same type of quarterback? Now, injuries aren't the career-ending injuries like they were in the past, but Kyler Murray relies on that quick twitch movements to really be effective. Is he going to have that early on in the year next year? Probably not. He's going to probably maybe take him a whole nother season to get that back, because a lot of times that's what happens. And if he doesn't have that, it's going to be rough. Now, luckily for him, he did sign that contract. So for him, this was a perfect time to get an injury if he's going to have it, rather than have it last year.
Also, Call of Duty came out. Now he's good. Call of Duty's out. He's good.
Also, and another thing for this, does this maybe give the Arizona Cardinals maybe some thought to keep Cliff Kingsbury, saying, well, his quarterback got hurt. I know they're 4-8 coming into this game, so I really don't think that's a good excuse. But for me, if I was them, I would clean house, get rid of him.
Yeah, from the New England side, I mean, that game was over pretty quick. We were all watching it. Like, by third quarter, that game was over. You knew once New England got a 7-point lead, they just weren't coming back.
Defense showed out again.
Yeah, Belichick's still doing work with the defense.
Does Bill Belichick know how to coach defenses?
I've been told every now and then he can't do something. Judon's just having a heck of a year. 14.5 sacks on the year.
Yeah,
tied with Nick Bosa.
Yep. Yeah, he has 27 sacks in 2 seasons. I mean, that's money well spent right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can get this offense going. The offense again this week didn't have a great performance. They did lose Ramondre Stevenson, and Damian Harris didn't play. So the running back
Devontae Parker got hurt.
Yep. The running back room's a little thin. Mac Jones had his moments in this game where he looked pretty good. He had a beautiful ball to Hunter Henry near the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense just as a whole just doesn't look great.
Mm.
They have a rough. After they play the Raiders this week, I would expect them to win and go 8-6. Then they play the Bengals, Dolphins, Bills. That's tough to end the season right there.
Yeah, it's tough for the Bengals, Dolphins, and Bills. They got to play the Patriots. That's fun. I think for a lot of Patriots fans, the big thing was with Mac Jones, was he regressing? But now you're seeing, okay, it's not him regressing. He really just needs he needs a coordinator, a better, because even some of the offense was not on him. Was some of the play calls, they were doing all these screens and stuff when they didn't.
Yeah, they did way too much screens. That's ridiculous.
They didn't need to do all these screens, and it's like this dude needs a better coordinator. Like, again, I feel prime Mac Jones is probably a top 15 guy, 10 to 15 when you get him at his best. You can win a Super Bowl with him. You need to give him a good team.
You have a good team, but yeah.
But you can win a Super Bowl. He ain't going to be, I don't think he's going to be the elite, I could carry a team. No, but
he
give
won't
him some weapons. He can definitely, I think, get you there. And
he could get to the Kirk Cousins territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is
that's about his ceiling.
Yeah, that's going to be solid, and there's stuff there. You just got to help this guy out. So there you go. That wraps up Week 14. Another exciting week of NFL football. Some exciting discussions as we get closer and closer to that time of playoff times. See how this MVP race ends up. See how this seeding ends up. And then we'll be into playoffs and discussing those, and also discussing when Red Monday happens and all the coaching firings happen. Thank you all for listening. My name is Legacy.
And I'm Max.
I'm Bobby.
Vitamin J.
And till next time.